Imosi. So he misrode. He supposed to follow this way, but he followed this way. So he thought he's trying. To me, he said, he not enter then jam two taxi. One escape, but the other one didn't escape. Now tumble. So I was maybe he climbed one of this pavement and maybe tumble that pole. So it catch fire.
And they said a driver escaped death.
And it's like as I see under the trailer now, you can see it now. But one of them escaped. The driver escaped too. The other is under the trailer. He brought down. Well, we're not confirmed yet until the fire service they are done with their work. They will confirm if anyone is inside.
And the driver who was able to escape, identified as Prince Sunday, spoke to our correspondent.
As he hits me, the pressure now can't turn commode. But this one already my phone no turn commode. I see they go straight. I really think cover and completely. Inside that motor, I'm not sure if anybody come out. But I just see somebody run, they follow me for back. I know that come out or just stand around. So but the man come out on the 10 God, you know, driving to. I know that they inside motor or just stand around. I don't know if somebody come out. So because I was busy with my own driving out so that to not catch up with me. Yes, it was on speed. The tires already jacked up self. So as I noticed it, that's why I moved. But what I know is that the motor just stumbled, the front started catching fire. It's my own car with one other guy. So that's the two I carried.
The driver of the burning gas truck also escaped the incident but declined to speak to our correspondent. The Federal Fire Service put out the fire. Security agents, of course, covered that scene. I remember late into the night, we still had people on that scene. I had some listeners say they heard the explosion from Eneka. People were saying they heard from different parts of the state. Did you hear the explosion?
I didn't. Maybe I was distracted with some other things.
Okay. I did, but I was sleeping at the time. But I just know that there was something that didn't sound normal. No. Yeah, it didn't sound like what I heard every day. Emergency response. Yes, the agencies eventually came through. They did what they could. How would you rate the response to this particular incident?
To this very incident, I think they did very well. Because if they had not responded as when they should, I think the damage there would have gone beyond what happened. They came not too early, but they came at the right time.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Yes. But I was not there, but I got feelers because I reported that very issue. I reported the incident. So it appears they acted promptly.
And after the incident, I believe there were already, at least what I saw, because I had to come to the office, NSCDC officials were there, trying to direct traffic. Yeah, that place had been cordoned off. So I'm glad that happened. There was quite the attention to the safety of people. Well, the reactions of residents who live close to the Oberikwe flyover, where a truck exploded, they are counting their losses. They tell correspondent Ifechukwu Moili that the shock from the explosion affected their buildings.
Sure.
I was in the house, I was cooking. What I heard was boom. So when I heard it, I ran out. I was at the other place. The next thing I heard was boom. The thing now bounced in the middle of the yard and bounced to this way. So when I came to check, they had scattered all the ceiling in the house. But it was up to 1 hour 30 minutes before fire service came. And by then it has exploded more.
The tanker and lorry drivers, if they are respecting our laws, some of these things will not happen because they are expected to plight the road from 10 p.m. The effect of the explosion also affected the houses, like as you can see. There is that the vibration from that explosion. That's what led to this. So it's very unfortunate.
Mr. Davies, we always hear about tankers, heavy-duty vehicles, and those trucks are supposed to move at night. We hear those things every time. Once in a while, it feels like there is adherence to that, and after maybe a few months, you now see them
do the normal thing,
dragging road with you. Where are we on that?
You know that one concern we've always had in this country is implementation of maybe established laws. If actually, because I don't actually know the section of the Constitution that provides that heavy duty trucks will only run at night. I'm not a lawyer. I
don't think it's constitutional. It might be
it should just be one of those bylaws or
a directive by a governor of a state.
So, but if that is the case, whether it be the case or not, I think precautions ought to be taken whenever lorries or heavy-duty trucks are on the road by those driving them, because most times it appears they are competing with other drivers. The way they run, they forget that brakes sometimes fail. They forget that sometimes accident could happen. They just run on the road. But whether it be a directive or not a directive, I think it's important that drivers should always be cautious. I think it's important that road users should always be cautious, whether they drive at night or not. This kind of incident that happened some days back would happen, because if you listen to his analysis, the vehicle it climbed something. I don't know whether it's the maiden of the road or what, but the tire of the vehicle climbed something and tumbled, something like that, and some assaulted. I don't know what actually happened, but whether it be at night or afternoon, such things are bound to happen. But what is important is that drivers should always be careful and not think of competing with another, because when you are competing, you think you always want to be there first, and some things could go wrong in that process. I think that is what I think on that.
All right. And the police say 3 people died in the fire caused by the explosion. Public relations officer of the command, Grace Iringa Koko, confirmed this in an interview with correspondent Emeka Otuka. But the sector commander of the FRSC in River State, Christopher Goje, told correspondent Onyeka Chinwosu that 2 people died and 3 others were hurt. Let's hear the commander.
The total number of people involved in the crash is 5. Out of these 5, 2 died and then 3 rescue without injury. But the information we have now is the first information report. After now, we will have to do further investigation. But what we are trying to do now is to, even do rescue, have to carry them to hospital for in case there is any internal injury and so on and so forth. So those are the things we have to take care of now. Then later on, we can go into further investigation as to know how much damage has been involved and other issues that will come up because of the investigation.
And Mr. Goje blamed the accident on over-speeding.
Eyewitnesses actually pointed out that the man was actually speeding, and that was why at the end of the day, at that bridge, on turning, the other vehicle stopped to pick a passenger, and then he just a kind of do somersault, and then came and landed on that vehicle that was stationary. And what we are doing to ensure that the issue of speeding is curtailed. That is why we insist that all truck and commercial vehicles have speed limiting device in their vehicle. In fact, we're enforcing it, even not because of this strike. We do go out collaboration with other sister agencies. Okay.
And the state government has vowed to take all necessary steps to prevent similar explosions from happening again in the state. Commissioner for Information and Communications, Joe Johnson, spoke to our correspondent, Onyeka Chinwosu. He expressed sadness at the loss of lives at the accident.
It's quite sad that it's happening. It is an accident, but since after the LMA incident, we have tried to deepen our arrangements to be able to have something to mitigate all these happenings. We were not happy about it, and I can assure you that the government will do all that is within its powers to ensure that we do not have a repeat of it. Quite sad, but we thank God that the casualty, though there is, that it was not as grievous as the previous.
Okay, and for recommendations, the chairman of the River State chapter of Nigeria Environment Society, NES, Damina Bo Amos, has urged the state government to set up an emergency response to reduce the recurrence of fire explosions in the state. He spoke to our correspondent.
The HSC of every company should be looked into very seriously, especially companies that are into haulage business that move heavy duty trucks from one point to the other. Because what has happened, it's not a natural disaster, but it's a man-made disaster. And again, from the aspect of the government, there is time for us to have an emergency response team. The government needs to set up an emergency response team.
And the public relations officer of NES, Real Estate Chapter, Daniel George, the student wing coordinator, spoke on other safety measures.
I believe that as a state, like Rivers State, important we have our State Emergency Management Agency. We should put things in place, not when things happen that we begin to look for solutions. We should have Rivers State Emergency Management Agency everywhere. I'm surprised from Choba to Lumokoro, there is no fire service station. The nearest fire service station we have maybe is the one in Uniport. So it's important that we have State Emergency Management Agency to handle such things like that.
All right. It's time to hear from you. 0817-923-0002. We have a few minutes on the clock. 0817-923-0003. WhatsApp is 080-903-06416. Please turn off your radio as you call. Okay, someone help me with the Standards Organization on WhatsApp. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Sam.
Good morning. What's your name?
My name is David West, and I'm calling you from the city of Ihemnachor.
Go ahead, David West.
First of all, the 250,000 naira demanded by Labour, sincerely speaking, it is unrealistic.
Okay.
It's not as if what they are demanding for is out of place. It is not out of place, but it is unrealistic. For me, all we need to do is to give the purchasing power of the naira strength. Otherwise, even if you pay labor or Nigerian workers 1 million naira, in this present condition that the purchasing power of the naira is weak, it will still mean nothing. It will still look as if you are giving them 30,000 naira minimum wage.
David West, if we reduce the salaries of lawmakers, politicians, and people in positions of influence and authority, do you think we might be able to meet a high minimum wage?
Well, the huge amounts lawmakers are collecting, with greatest respect, as far as I'm concerned, is also going to cause inflation. And I say, I've been an advocate that they should reduce their emolument and the unnecessary allowances they collect. It is all these things that are provoking labor to say, we will give us 400. And they do these things to the face of ordinary Nigerians. So correspondingly, the lawmakers, politicians, will also reduce their wages and their unnecessary spending.
Okay.
Because they need free, everything they use is free on us. Why are they taking humongous amount for just keeping maybe 4 years or 8 years as the case may be? And the Nigerian worker that will spend 35 years of his life.
All right. Oh, thank you, David West. I can take just one call before the break. Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you, the Oracle, Chinedri.
Good morning. What's your name?
Good morning to your guest in the studio.
Good morning.
Okwando Obinna is my name.
Okwando, you have just 60 seconds. Please go ahead.
You see, I have been aligning my thoughts with the thought of that your guest in the studio.
Okay.
I don't think that the quantity of the amounts paid to Nigerian workers is the problem, but the quality. Why is it that $1 is equal to 1,500 naira? The labor unions are not doing well. The government are not doing well. We have a lacuna of leadership in this country. I have read about other countries, how labor unions help government to shape policies of government, and the economy of those countries are doing well. But what do we have here in the country? A labor union that has turned itself to a minimum wage demanding union. Every day
we have to go now.
Did you know every year in Nigeria, over 8